African American history is very important because it just shows the strength, it shows resilience, it shows a dignity that I want my children to know, that I want my family to know. It makes me very proud. Yeah, one of the biggest things that got me interested in my history was my father took me to Mississippi when I was about 2 years old, and he took me downtown to the square, and it's very small, so it's downtown square, and he was just saying how when he was little, when he was a young boy, 4, 5, 6, he remembered coming down there and them hanging black people and them cooking, having barbecues and popcorn and things like that, and I just couldn't believe that in a public place you could actually kill someone and have, kids and people come as if it was a carnival. And him explaining that to me at a young age really hit me to where, I need to take my naivety and spread it. I need to say, listen, we're all the same, and we can make a difference and share that with children so they can be the same, so we won't go through what my father went through, what their parents went through. And that to me was a very eye-opening experience to let me know how bad it was and how incumbent it is upon me to try to make a difference. What's great about history, it doesn't give you excuses. It gives you inspiration. So to know that someone like what a Rosa Parks went through, or what a Frederick Douglass went through, of not being able to read, having to learn to read from another child, but making it happen, being part of our government, being part of our history, that, I can tell children that, and it's no excuse that, they go to a school where the books are older, or they go to a situation where they have no one believing in them. It kind of lets them say, you know what, if he did it, I can do it, because these great history figures are no different than we are. And I just want the children to know that they have the same power inside of them that these great figures in history had, and hopefully that encourages them to overcome the odds. Martin Luther King obviously is one of the biggest influences on my life, on everyone's life, whether we know it or not. And just his patience, just his vulnerability, him using himself as a sacrifice to be ridiculed, to have the excuses made about him, to bring all of us together, to me is one of the greatest things that ever could happen. I mean, everyone knows that he said you should be judged by the content of the character, not by the color of the skin. And I think that everyone, that's how we judge you, is how are you, who are you, not by how you look. And I think that he set a precedent with saying that, and we all follow it today. The black woman has definitely held the family together. And whether we look at Harriet Tubman, who was part of the Underground Railroad leading slaves to freedom, whether you look at Rosa Parks, who refused to give her a seat to a man, and she was tired after working, just the strength of that, and going through that time in the 60s where she was ridiculed, to Phyllis Wheatley. We have her book, and it was the first book published by African American woman, the second book, novel published by a woman altogether, and just to show the strength of them and the resilience. When we go to schools and talk to the young ladies about what these women did, they're very happy, and also it makes them know that you can do this too, that all the odds were against these ladies and they didn't care and they fought through it, and all the odds are against you and you should not care, just fight through it and become who God wants you to be. We like to push slavery to the back burner, but slavery has an effect on our community today. Whether it was the breaking up of the black family, when they were selling the fathers away from their family, the mothers and the children. Whether it's kids today not feeling that they're as just as good as their counterparts or other children. Whether it's growing up in the ghettos and in the society where you're judged on your economics, on what you have at home. Slavery definitely still has an effect, a residual effect today, and that's what I hope that we can change, is the mind frame of children, to let them know that before, the same people that were brought here as slaves were kings and queens in Africa. And when you think of your ancestors as kings and queens, it's a little bit different than thinking that you don't have any resources. And hopefully we let these children know that the blood of kings are running through their veins, and that they can make the same difference that Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Frederick Douglass, Malcolm X, Haile Selassie, all these people made. You know, I look at sports, I think that sports was the one liaison between all races, because if you have a common enemy, you have a common kinship. And, you know, where else can you see a black guy hugging a Serbian, who's hugging a Greek guy, who's hugging a white guy, but in sports? And I think sports really brought us all together, because when you have a common enemy, when it's Detroit against Chicago, it's all Detroiters. It's not a black Detroiter or a white Detroiter. It's all Detroiters, and we all have a common goal. So I think sports, definitely, the Kareems, the Bill Russells, the Will Chamberlains, the Jerry West, by them being on the court in a way that was not planned, in a way that was unscripted, and to see true emotions and to see them become a team really kind of helped, I believe, America be a team and kind of help us love our brother even more. Growing up in Detroit, you have to really know who you are. You know, I was really taught at a young age. I remember being in kindergarten class and having patches of the wall of famous figures, whether it was Harriet Tubman or Dr. Charles Drew. And it was great because I went to an African-American school at a young age, and we had all these positive influences. So growing up, I was given an expectation that I was supposed to be like them, not like anyone else, or not for money, not for anything else, but I was supposed to be educated and I was supposed to make a difference. And so growing up in the schools that I grew up in and the influences that I had, it really just taught me that you have to be better, you have to work as hard as you can, and you can accomplish anything, and excuses are not an option. It's so special for me to have my pieces at the Charles H. Wright Museum. Number one, because it's the largest African-American museum in the country, and to me, that's an honor within itself, to have space in the largest African-American museum and to share space with all the great artifacts they have. Two, to be in the city of Detroit, my hometown, the city that influenced me to collect these pieces, is great, and it's just going to be almost a celebration to have my pieces there, because it's kind of a culmination of everything that I've gone through in life, a culmination of all my experiences, of my different trials and tribulations, and to have them there and to be able to share them with people in my personal collection is just an honor, and I'm very happy. I'd just like to thank the Charles H. Wright Museum for allowing me to have my pieces there. I'd like to thank all the Detroiters that are going to come see it, and I'd like to thank everyone that influenced me to be myself, to encourage others, to inspire others. The pieces I have are wonderful in my personal collection, and I hope that everyone enjoys them. But I definitely thank you, Detroit, because this is your imprint on me, and I hope you get to come out and see it.